I'm Ryan Berlin. I am 42 years old today, and I've been training at Starting Strength Cincinnati for about a year and a half. I'm a chiropractor. My practice is called Align Chiropractic here in Westchester, Ohio. I got into chiropractic because it really changed my health. Chiropractic is all about the spine and most importantly, the nervous system. And that nervous system key was a huge part to my health, getting better as a child. It changed my life in such a way that I feel like I really owe it to people to help get the word out there about what chiropractic really truly is. I also have 3 children, so I love going to their sports games. Just played golf yesterday with my son. So the way I found out about Starting Strength is that my wife and I actually used to own a CrossFit gym. But we learned about Mark Ripito and Starting Strength early on in CrossFit back in the probably 2009, 2010. Before I even really knew who he was, I loved what he stood for. Became very familiar with the Starting Strength squat. I turned 40, and on my 40th birthday, not only was I at my heaviest I'd been, but I also felt probably the worst. I remember being out of breath, bending over to tie my shoes. I remember on my 40th birthday, coming back from that trip thinking, the next 10 years aren't gonna look like the last 10 years. And for me, a big part of that was being strong. And I remember when I was probably my strongest at 30, and I was probably the most out of shape at 40. I follow a physician online who talks about muscle being the organ of longevity. And I really think that that's important, that as we age, our strength and our muscle mass is one of the largest declining factors, that most people just get weaker as they get older, not because we lose muscle mass as we get older, we lose muscle mass as we don't use it. Bone density and muscle mass decline with lack of use. And so, very simply, we know it's true. If you don't use it, you lose it. I don't even like to admit these because I don't think these were the actual numbers. So my squat went from 125 to my current PR is multiple reps at 365. My bench was 125, and just the other day I did 3 reps at 265. My press was at 65 pounds. My personal record right now is a 5x1 at 190. And my deadlift was at 135, and I just pulled 430 for a set of 5 the other day. So I feel really good doing it too, and all these numbers are kind of blowing me away. They're not actually quite to my goals yet, but I'm getting pretty close. I've fallen in love with the methodology. I've fallen in love with the culture and the community. But honestly, I got to give a lot of credit to our owner here at Starting Strength Cincinnati. Luke, from day one, was very welcoming, very warm. I remember in the first few times going to the gym, I left a coffee cup out and I did something else. I remember apologizing. He said, the only rule here is that you get stronger. Just knowing that they really cared about one thing and one thing only, and that was my results and my strength and my training, that really spoke volumes for me. I think really the thing I like most about the coaching is it's never without purpose. It's never just yelling at you. Every cue, everything, it's either knees out, set your knees, brace against that belt, big breath. They're all things that are actually really important cues. And so just the intentionality behind everything. I know a lot of that goes back to corporate Starting Strength and RIP and the program when it comes to how these guys get certified. I would say if anyone's starting out, just to trust the methodology, because there's some method to the madness, and there's just a really awesome effectiveness to when you're following the methodology and you're just incrementally getting stronger, that the proof's in the pudding. And for a year and a half for me, it's just equated to a lot more strength than I could have imagined, especially as a chiropractor who works with people who get injured, working out and doing things, is that they don't get injured from doing things correct. And one of my favorite things that I learned in the gym is how to do all of these movements. My squat, my deadlift, my bench, I've learned so much more about those movements, and I think it's important. Our body unfortunately doesn't come with an owner's manual, and for Starting Strength, I've just been able to learn a lot more about how my body works and how my body moves, and that has really helped me to do these things much more effectively. When I go to work every day, I pretty much am standing and moving all day. I'm bent over tables adjusting patients. This morning, our office, we saw 130 patients in 4 hours amongst 3 doctors. I was constantly just fatigued and sore through work. Since Starting Strength, I can bend over those tables all day long, and I feel great. I feel strong throughout the day. I'm less fatigued at the end of the day. I have 2 younger doctors working for me, and they're in their 20s and 30s, and I outpace them all day long. I train on this rack right here, and on the rack next to me is Victor, who's 72 years old and is deadlifting 300 pounds. There's camaraderie. You can find camaraderie between people that you probably never would interact a whole lot with outside of the gym, but there's commonality into doing things that are hard and working together, and a respect that you have for watching other people do something. And I think that's what's so impressive, is just watching people grind through and do hard things and celebrating them when they do it. And so I think that any single individual person can benefit from strength. If Merce at 95 years old can train here, and Victor at 72, and my son at 12 and my other son at 10, then anybody can train here. So.